Welcome to the Spheres of Spirit with Nancy Myers, aka the Lady of the Light. Nancy will discuss the everyday magic and wisdom of spirit which surrounds each of us, waiting to be discovered. She will share some of her remarkable orb photos, proving that our angels, guides, loved ones in spirit, and even pets surround us and guide us in our physical world. During this episode, Nancy will discuss one of the many spheres or aspects of spirit available to us based on her orb photography. She will also share a special channeled message from her guide, Leonini, and do an oracle card reading to help guide you along your personal spiritual adventure. And now, here is your host, orb photographer, author, medium, and speaker, Nancy Myers.
Hi, thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Nancy Myers, and I thank you for joining me and giving me your time. I do this show, this podcast, because my son, who is in spirit, asked me to from the other side. He wants me to share what I have learned with you, maybe to help you on your journey. But I want to tell you that I only share what I have seen, what I have heard, what I have dreamt, what I have been told. It is not the end all and be all. Just as we evolve, mediumship, our contacts evolve. So it's constantly growing. It's constantly shifting. That's what spiritual growth is all about. So this is kind of part one, part two of our spiritual journey. But I just wanted to let you know that if something doesn't resonate with you, then let it go. Again, I'm only sharing what has happened to me. So today we are going to talk about spiritual guides. Maybe you've heard the term, oh, you have a guide. Oh, you have a teacher, an ascended master, an angel. We talked a little bit about our animal guides in the last episode. But in this episode, we're going to talk about who or what are spiritual guides, the teachers. There's a term called ascended masters, angels, archangels. And today we're even going to talk about our higher selves and then how each of these guides differ. So how do we know that guides are really around us? After all, the show is called, the magic that surrounds us every day. And how do you get to know them and develop them on a personal level? I'm going to show you some proof and some photos today of my guides, then how they showed me that, yes, in fact, they are around me. So let me break it down a bit for you, and we'll start with your spiritual guides and who they can be. So spiritual guides are souls in spirit who were once in physical form. Now, I say physical and not human because, as we discussed in the last episode, guides can be from the animal kingdom, even from the elemental kingdom, and I'll show you that in a little bit. And these souls have evolved to a level through incarnations and lessons, and they are ready to assist us souls who are still here on earth. Spirit guides help us achieve our greatest growth and our greatest potential if we listen, if we tap into that. How do we tap into that? How do we listen? Well, you have a psychic center, which is your what is that? 1, 2, 3, third chakra. That's where you get your gut feelings. Okay, that's where you get your intuition, kind of. I think the phone's going to ring, and of course it rings. So you have those feelings, you have those thoughts that come to you, you have signs. My angels leave me signs. We'll get into that in a minute. They will also come to you through dreams. And then, of course, the ever important meditation. That's how you will connect. When you are, I tell some of my clients, they say, well, how do I get to know, who my angel is or my guide? or their name, or I know I have a guide, but I don't know that I have a personal relationship with that. And so the best way that I have found is when you sit in meditation and for me, when I know a name, it connects me on a personal level. So when I was first starting, I said, okay, I would like to know my guardian angel's name, and sit in silence for a minute and see what name comes to you. And use that name. There's a reason it came to you. Now, I have to tell you that our angels probably don't care what we call them. They don't go by names there, but they understand that we have that personal connection if we use the name. So they are happy to oblige us. I had a reading once, and my son was there, and I asked him, I said, Robbie, when you passed and got to the other side, did you get to meet your guardian angel one-on-one? Did you get, face to face? And the medium said, he said, yes. And I said, well, who was his guide? And now my son was a huge fan of Family Guy. And I think it was Family Guy, or maybe it was, I don't know. But anyway, he said his name is Cleveland. And that was a character from one of the shows that he just loved. So, our guides don't care, but it's the name that connects us. So, sit in meditation, see what name comes to you, and then use that. So how many guides? How many do we have? Oh, this is where we come into the many schools of thought about this. And this is where it's constantly evolving. And this is not set in stone. Here's what I've learned. And here's what I've been shown. But remember, again, there's no limitations on spirit. Okay. I try not to box spirit in. I try not to make absolute sentences or absolute statements. So guides can come into our lives when needed. Some guides are with us our entire lives. And some guides come to us depending on what phase we are or what we are working on in our life at that time. So here's an example. For me, when I first started in orb photography and I was learning about what orbs are, and all about energy and frequency and what happens to energy and how we can't destroy it. Sounds like Einstein, right? I am not a physicist. Or a scientist. I didn't know all this stuff. So as I was researching about the orbs, all this information would just find its way to me. And so one night I'm out in the backyard. Of course, I take my orb photos every night if weather permitting. And in one of the orbs during this time, it was Einstein. And he literally was, because I was quoting him and reading about him, there he was. He was appearing in an orb. I just found that utterly fascinating. So another friend of mine, I think she's almost done, but she's been writing a book. And when she's a very good medium, and when she tapped in, she knew that Louisa May Alcott was her guide at the time, because her style and hers are probably very similar in writing. And so Louisa May Alcott was there to guide her and to inspire her as she wrote her book. Now, I told you too that guides can be animals. One of my guides, her name is Belle. I told the story about when I saw the picture on the wall in the hotel when I checked into my room, and she was letting me know that she was with me. She comes in the form of an owl. And so we can have these animal guides. Animal guides probably come and go a little more frequently. Well, I shouldn't say that, but they can come more in and out, just as the other guides are. Now, according to my son, Robbie, he said we do have permanent guides. Fortunately for me, my son is now one of my guides. He he told me that, and I have to tell you, our roles have reversed, and he's getting the biggest kick out of giving me the assignments. Mom, you're going to write a book. Mom, you're going to do a video. Mom, you're going to do a podcast. And if he asks me, I try to do it, and then he puts everything in front of me to make it easy. So that's how I got to this point of doing podcasts, is because he asked me. So he is a permanent guide of mine. Also, I told you last episode about my soul dog, Shadow. And I have been told 3 times, and I like confirmation, that Shadow is indeed one of my guides now, but also part of my soul family. So, they can cross more than, they can be our guides, they can be our soul family, they can be our loved ones. So that's who guides kind of are, okay? And they are exactly what they say, guides. They're trying to guide us. They're trying to nudge us and to move us in the right direction. One thing about all these guides is they can't help us unless we ask them. So I've said this before. My son said, "Mom, I wish more people would talk to us." And that's the guides, angels, and those trying to help us. And so talk to your guides, ask them to help you, ask them for a sign. So another type of guide is called the Ascended Masters. And these are great spiritual teachers who have incarnated here, who have gained mastery over the limitations of matter and have learned the lessons of life and incarnation. They have become fully enlightened beings. You might know them as Buddha, Confucius, Enoch, Kuan Yin, St. John the Baptist, Elijah, St. Germain, Mother Mary, and of course, Jesus. Now, there are many, many more, and even different levels of ascended masters. So I have heard that the spiritual realm, the spiritual world, refers to Jesus as the master. I'm thinking, and this is my thought, that perhaps because he is indeed an ascended master, but also because just like Mary Magdalene was called the apostle to the apostles, Jesus may be called the master to the masters. Again, that's my thought. There are levels. I don't want to say above and below, but there are levels, even with ascended masters and angels. So, but anyway, these guides can also come and go and attend to the whole of humanity or individuals. And just like most spiritual beings, they can be in many, many places with many, many people at the same time. They transcend time and space. Now, how do we know that ascended masters are with us? Well, I have a little story here. I was early in my development. I took a lot of workshops, and I took a workshop with a very good medium, and we had to get up and in the center of the circle and then read somebody, try to feel who spirit was and who we were drawn to, and then give a reading. And so I stood up and I'm looking around, and all of a sudden over the teacher's head, this is one of the few times that I actually saw an orb with my eyes. I see a purple orb, and I was just flabbergasted. Now, this medium is so good that she can actually see and kind of meld with your thoughts and your visions and see what's going on. And she said to me, "I know you saw something. What did you see?" And I said, "There's a purple orb over your head, beautiful purple." And she said, "Who is it?" And I stopped for a minute and I heard the name, heard in my head, Saint Germain. And she nodded and she said, "Tell me what he's saying." And so I delivered the messages, which she confirmed. She had quite quite an introduction and meeting with him, and he confirmed this, and it was phenomenal. So Saint Germain is associated with what's called the violet flame and the color purple. So that is one way that the ascended masters were letting me know, yes, we are part of your lives. And Saint Germain happens to be a guide of this teacher's. She has quite the relationship with him. So now, I want to talk about angels, and I want to talk about archangels. Every single religion, to my understanding, believes in angels. That's the one common thing that all religions have, is they all have a belief in angels. Yet somehow we here in the Western world treat them like, oh, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if the angels came, and helped us? Well, they do. The angels are more present and more real than we give them credit for. And they so want to change that. So angels are beings who never incarnated, at least for any length of time. There are stories, and one day I'll tell you my story, about how angels can appear in human form for a brief time, assist, and then you turn around and they're gone. So, but they've not fully incarnated into physical form. Angels are benevolent beings. They are gods and servants. And even with angels, there is a hierarchy. Now, we all have a guardian angel, I'm told. And the guardian angel is assigned to us from birth and until passing. I got to know my guardian angel through a medium. And she told me that my guardian angel would leave me feathers. And so I started talking to my guardian angel. She also gave me the name, which was nice. I didn't have to, her name is Shanda. So I talked to Shanda. And when I'm trying to make a decision or wondering if I've done the right thing or if I should take the next step in something, I'll say, Shanda, can you please leave me a feather? And sure enough, there will be a feather, but I pose the question so that the feather will answer it. In other words, if I'm doing the right thing, could you please leave me a feather? If I don't get a feather in the next 3 days, I know, oops, maybe I need to reassess. So I'll reassess, ask the question again, and usually there's a feather. So, talk to your guardian angel. Your guardian angel is with you 24/7. But so are the other angels. The other angels, and people laugh when I tell them this, but other angels can help us. It doesn't have to be a huge, big life decision. It can be small things. So I have traffic angels. And if I'm going to the store and I'll say, angels, I need a parking spot, up front. Can you help me find one? It never fails. There will be a parking spot right there. So I use that, just as an example, but they are there to help us. One time I was driving here in Southern California, we have problems with traffic, and I was on the freeway and I was late. I should have left earlier and I didn't. And so I'm in traffic and I said, oh, Angel, and I had this really important appointment to get to. And I was probably 20 minutes away and I only had about 10 or 15 minutes to get there. And so I said, angels, can you please help me get to this appointment? All of a sudden, it was like I was in a bubble. There was the traffic behind me pulled back. The traffic in front of me kind of pulled way forward. And all of a sudden, I'm just driving easily. And I get to the appointment, I park the car, and I made it in about 12 minutes when it should have taken me 20. So angels can do remarkable things. I tell people perhaps they folded time, perhaps they moved me along, but it's just this story is just to let you know that the angels are capable of so much if you just ask them and then believe and have faith that they will help you. Now, archangels are the angels of the highest rank. And an archangel comes from the Greek word excuse me, I have this written down, archangelo. And archangelo means the chief angel. And it is said that archangels carry much intelligence, power, and glory. They are very close to source, to God. Now, some religions only recognize a few archangels. The main ones, you've heard of Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel. But in the book of Enoch, there's a total of 7, I think, that are mentioned. So the main archangels, and I want you to notice too, as I say their names, all their names end in El. El is also a name in, I believe, Arabic. Please forgive me if I have that wrong, but it means God. El. We've heard of. Oh well, never mind. I was going to say the name, and it just went out of my head. But anyway, so the archangels, Michael. Michael is known as the warrior or protector angel. He, even in the archangels, there is hierarchy, and he is the top or head angel, if you will. There's Raphael, and the Raphael is the healing angel. Gabriel is the messenger angel. Uriel is the angel of service. Raguel, the angel of justice. Sariel is the angel of the order of God. And Phanuel, which is the angel of repentance and hope. So as I read their name and then what they are known for, that tells you what angel to call on at a certain time. If you familiarize yourself and do a little research, there's some amazing books out there about the angels, and there's some amazing people out there who talk to the angelic realm, so you can get to know the angels. Now, here's what I've been told. Angels are androgynous. They are not male or female. You notice when I said Gabriel or Gabriel, some people think Gabriel is a man. I call her Gabrielle because that's how I relate. Angels do not have male female tendencies, or excuse me, sexes. They can come in with a male or female power, but they are not, that's a human thing. Because they have never incarnated, they are just benevolent beings. So we have to get past that assigning sexes to everything. So now some may recognize even more archangels. So, that's fine if you want to do that, or you find I have a whole book that I refer to that has many more archangels or angels listed. So I try to call on the angel that I need help for, along with my guardian angel. Then there's also, don't forget, the cherubs and the seraphims, but we're not going to talk about them in this episode. So, okay. Now, there's another term that maybe some of you haven't heard of, and another guide. And this guide is called our higher self. And just as the term says, it's part of us. It's kind of where we came from. It refers to an eternal, omnipotent, conscious, and intelligent being who is our true self. Now, what does all this mean? Well, here's what Robbie has told me. He said, Mom, when you incarnate, you don't bring all of your energy. You only bring a portion of it. And my reincarnation here, then when I pass, I go back to my higher self, but I keep this quote unquote personality. And I go back. And he said, Mom, if you can think of your higher self as kind of like a tree, and with all these branches, and all these branches hold all the past lives of that higher self. And incarnates to experience itself, to grow itself. So, do we all have higher selves? Yes. And I'm going to show you a picture. Now, my higher self, my guide, is Leonini. And Leonini is, and I've been told, again, I like confirmation. And maybe you can tell now that I get a lot of readings, and I get a lot of readings from very reputable mediums. I'm very careful about who I choose. But I get confirmations. I like to have 2 or 3 confirmations. And I have been told many times about my higher self, even her name. So I'm going to show you a picture. She even appeared for me. So now, I've been talking for a little bit, and I've been talking about all these different beings that are here to help us. When you think about it, it's incredible the help that's available to us, that's right around us every day, 24/7. All we need to do is ask. We have to realize that that help is there and talk to them. So again, how do we connect? Leonini tells me over and over and over again, number 1, meditate. Meditate to get to know the name, know the signs. Number 2, just as I said, go to a reputable medium if you're having trouble connecting. See what they say. Look, though, for confirmations. Okay. The third thing is educate yourself. As I said, I have a book on angels. So books, education, workshops, and practice. Practice the reaching out, practice touching, practice getting in touch, I should say, with that higher realm. It's just an incredible feeling when you know that you never walk alone. You've heard that before. You are never alone, and you truly are not. And this doesn't even include a lot of our loved ones who are teachers and who are helping us. Maybe some of our loved ones haven't attained the enlightenment to become a guide, but they are still with us. You have a host of people. It's a crowded room in here with me right now, and I love it. So when I come back, I'm going to show you some amazing pictures, and I will also read Leonini's message just for today. She gave me a special message, and then do a card reading. So let's take a break, and I'll see you in a few minutes.
OMTimes TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities.
When I first saw Turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet,
We discover
they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
And welcome back. I am first and foremost an orb photographer. That's how all this started. And I love what I do because even for me, when I go to a medium and the medium talks to me and says, "Oh, I have your son," or "I have your guides," and they're giving me the message, I still have to have faith and trust that what they're telling me is what they're seeing. What my work does is I can show you. I can show you a picture. And so what I'm going to do is show you some pictures of my guides and angels. Um, and and to have that physical proof, I think, is just an amazing thing that Spirit allows us to see. So, how do you know that they're really, really around us? So, I'm going to share these stories here with you. Shortly after my son passed, I had a reading with a very respected medium, and I I'm listening to her, and of course, Robbie came in, and she said, "Oh, your guides are here. Do you want me to tell you about your guides?" And I go, "Oh, yeah, please." And she said, "Well, you have a guide named Charlie." And I said, "Okay, who's Charlie?" And she said, "I don't know. He's just giving me Charlie. And he is here to help you with the orbs." And I said, "Okay." So shortly after that reading, it wasn't the next night. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 nights later. Um, I went outside to take a picture, and I said to Charlie, I said, "Okay, Charlie, whoever you are, if you are really my guide, can you let me know?" So if we can bring up the picture of my guide, Charlie. And my guide was Charlie Chaplin. Now, I have to tell you, when I take orb pictures, the absolute best place to see them is on the back of my camera. Of course, that's impossible to show you all that because each time I transfer it to a different medium, we lose a little of the subtleties. But what I try to do is outline the face and help you um, adjust to see what I am seeing. My friend reminded me, she said, "Nancy, when you show these orbs and talk about them," she said, "you've developed, your ability to see these orbs." She goes, "Not everybody can, so help them." So, and she's right. It's just like my son told me at one time, I had to learn how to see the pictures in the magic eye book, where they jumped out at you from, when you first looked at the picture, there was just a flat picture, but if you relaxed your eyes, you could see into it, and then this 3D object would pop out. Could I get that picture up one more time? I'm sorry. So I took this picture and I zoomed in, and I could see Charlie Chaplin. Not only could I see Charlie Chaplin, he was holding his dog. And now, if Charlie Chaplin would not have come to me in an orb as his iconic character, the little tramp, I would have never recognized him. I didn't really know what he looked like without his costume, if you will. And then when I researched to find a picture, there was Charlie holding his dog just as it is in the orb. And again, you can go to my website and look at this, and I've outlined it to the right of this in red, and maybe you can adjust your eyes. So there was Charlie Chaplin. Incredible. So I thought to myself, okay, why? So I sat with it a minute and I said, "Charlie, why are you with me?" And he explained to me that, in so many words, I'll paraphrase, because he was a silent movie star, he was here to help me with the silent messages from Spirit, using only visual clues of the orbs. He was a master in producing silent films and getting the message across without using words. I found that utterly fascinating. And so I wanted to find out everything I could about Charlie Chaplin. He was just an amazing human being. He came from extreme poverty in England, really made a name for himself. But towards the end of his life, or maybe all of his life, he did have a very spiritual side to him. And I found this quote, if I can read it for you. He said, "Pain is part of growing." And remember, this was towards just after, not too long after my son had passed. And I was still healing from grief, still healing from that loss of my only son. And this is what I found from Charlie's life, or Charlie's quote. "Pain is part of growing. Everything in life is temporary. Worrying and complaining changes nothing. Your scars are symbols of your strength. Every little struggle is a step forward. Other people's negativity is not your problem. What's meant to be will eventually be. The best thing you can do is keep going." I found that extremely powerful. Thank you very much for the picture. I found that extremely powerful, and it was like a message from the other side. Okay, we recognize that you're going through this and things are happening and you're still in pain, but keep going. We're going to work with you. We're going to show you how to do this. Just incredible. So here I had a medium tell me I have a guide named Charlie. I had no idea who it was. 2 or 3 days later, I take this picture. There pops Charlie Chaplin with his dog, matching the picture that I found. That's another thing. When people appear in the orbs, they usually appear as a picture that I can easily find when I Google it, so that I know it's them. And one episode, I'm going to do just an episode on faces. It's been an amazing journey with that. So another guide of mine made an appearance, and this one just warms my heart. A couple years after that reading, I had another reading with this amazing medium. And she goes, she says, "Well," she said, "I have another guide here." And I said, "Oh, wonderful." Now I said guides come and go. So, it's okay. I think Charlie pops in when needed. But now here was this other guide coming in to let me know who he was and what he was going to do. She started laughing and she said, "Well, he wants me to call him Lucky. And he's literally showing me that he's a leprechaun." And I thought, well, okay. I didn't know very much about the elemental world. And again, in a future episode, I will let you know what I have since found out. But I said, "Okay, what do I do?" And she said, "Well, I don't know, but he's there to help you." And she said, "Oh, wait." She said, "He's there to help you with the magic of orbs." So we all know that leprechauns are kind of mythical, magical beings, right? And their pot of gold, And so he wanted to remind me that the orbs are indeed magic. So if we can get that picture. So that night, this was on January 17th. On January 18th, I took this picture, and there in the orb, and now I told you that I use my spiritual vision to see. When I showed my husband is my litmus test. If he can see the face in the orb, then I know most other people can see it. But if you look at the orb closely, you can see the leprechaun. You can see his beard, his little hat. He's even got one of those little pipes. And I put a picture of the typical leprechaun next to him. And then on the left, I have outlined him to help you adjust your eyes so that when you look back into the orb, you can see it. And I was just flabbergasted, absolutely astounded that my guide, a mythical creature, shows up the next night right after I was told that I have a guide named Lucky. Now, I've captured Lucky probably 2 or 3 times since then. and I do call on him. Sometimes if I'm in a little bit of a lull and I feel like I'm just not capturing the right orbs or enough orbs, I'll call on Lucky and I'll say, Lucky, I need a little help here. Can you boost me up a little bit to start capturing, the orbs that I'm supposed to? And then, the orb images will take off again. So isn't that incredible? Isn't that amazing? I think so. I think that's utterly magical. So one of my people that I look up to was the teacher and author Wayne Dyer. And he said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So just like I told you that when Robbie was little, he had that little book called the Magic Eye Book. And he said, Mom, you have to learn how to see this. I didn't know why he was telling me that. Maybe his soul was getting me ready for what I do. But orbs are like onions. And the more time, in fact, Robbie came through one reading and he said, Mom, spend more time looking at these pictures. And I said, oh, okay. So I go back and I look at the pictures and they change, or I'll see something else. So the deeper that we go into the orb, the more we see, the more information that we get. So, also, once you are aware of orbs, I tell people, go back and look at your pictures. And you may see orbs where you never noticed them before. That happened with my son. Like I said, I got his computer after he passed, and I went into his pictures and I looked, and he's surrounded by orbs in so many photos. So once you are aware, it's like your eyes are opened. You now have spiritual vision, and you are ready to see them. So I told you a story about the Ascended Master, Saint Germain, and I saw the orb with my eyes. I can't prove that to you. I can only show you. Now, during my readings, and this has happened to me time and time again, I have had way more than 3 confirmations on this, but I am told that Mother Mary is one of my Ascended Masters, one of my guides. The first time I was told that, I went, but I'm not Catholic. But they said that doesn't matter. So when I'm down or when I just need a little boost, I call on Mother Mary. And I asked her, I said, Mother Mary, could you please show me that you are with me? And I got this orb. Now I say orb and I slow down a little bit. This is one of the only times that I got a square orb. And perhaps in the middle, you can see Mother Mary kind of looking down with the head covering. Some people will explain that away, and that's okay. But I know that this is Mother Mary. And each time I look at it, I see more and more features. Also, right before I took this particular photo, Mother Mary comes in and she shows me she's with me, not just by showing up like this, but there's an extremely bright blue orb that I get. I don't get it very often, but I call it my Mother Mary blue. And it's on my website, theorbconnection.com. But she will show me that orb first, that to let me know that she's around me. And then this particular orb appeared next. So that is one of my most cherished pictures. So what about my higher self? Okay, well, I have a whole story about Leonini and channeling her and learning about her, which I will share again in future episodes. But Leonini, the name, means little lion. And I have a friend who she started taking orb pictures with me, but hers branched off and she captures this amazing substance. We've named it, her and I, angel mist. And it forms in certain shapes and images. And I called and my friend was over and I said, take a picture. I'm going to call in Leonini and see if she'll come in. And my friend took this picture. Now I want you to know that angel mist appears on warm nights, It appears inside. It appears during the day. It's not fog. It's not physical mist. This is something separate, and it only shows up on the film. So if that's me standing there, and if you can look up to the top, you can see the lion looking out. Again, on my website, I have outlined it, but I asked Leonini to show herself, and here she comes in the form of angel mist directly over my head. And what I like about this is she's almost touching the crown of my head, and that's where we get the information and the spiritual downloads. Now, again, another cherished picture of mine. But what about angels? And do I have proof that angels exist? Yes, I have one picture, and it's the only time that I've captured this. Now, I have captured, I get feathers all the time. I've captured clouds, but this one was special. I asked my guardian angel, and notice that I always set the intent before I take the picture. I asked my guardian angel, can you please appear in a photo? And I took this photo, and if we can bring that one up, and you can see I call this Shonda, and it's like she's peeking over the fence. Now, when I get orbs or this from the angelic realm, they're different. I explain that when they're from the angelic realm, there's a brilliance to the light, and I'll show you one of the angelic orbs here in a minute. But this particular picture, I can see her eyes, I can see her hair, and she's literally looking over the fence. But again, what's amazing about this story is I had just asked her to let me know that she was with me. It's not a full angel, but it's the face of my Shonda. So again, this is a very cherished picture of mine. Okay, thank you so much for that. So how do we know that we have guides and angels? Through signs, through pictures, through confirmation of mediums. And I just showed you proof, right? I just showed you proof of an angel, a guardian, our guides, ascended masters. So what do you do with that? You invite them into your life. You invite them in to help you. You get to know who they are through, again, meditation, workshops, education, and practice. Now, I want to take a little bit of not a break, but I'm going to switch here because I'm going to do a card reading. And because I've been talking about the archangels, I have a deck, and I'll show you the deck for those of you who are watching this and not listening. The deck has a picture of Archangel Michael. So this is my Archangel Michael deck. So I'm going to shuffle with the intent that this message today comes from the realm of the Ascended Masters, and that this message is for all of the listeners to help them on their path. Now, you heard me just say the realm of the Ascended Masters. My son has told me, and we'll talk about this too in future broadcasts, that there are different levels or realms. Not all are on the same level, but there is a place where all can meet, and we'll get into that more. So when I reach to the angelic realm, it's a higher vibration. I have had mediums tell me when they're talking with the angelic realm or the ascended master realm, they almost get dizzy. They can feel the energy. It changes. It's much higher, much faster. So anyway, so I'm asking for the Archangel Michael to be with us. And as soon as I said that, I got butterflies in my stomach. So he is here. And my intent when I pull cards is always that the messages are hopeful, helpful, and healing. I ask that the messages come from the highest good and for the highest good. So let's Let's see what Michael wants to share with all of you today. And the card that I'm going to pull, you know, it's amazing how Spirit just picks the right card. You heard me, I hope, shuffling. So the card that I picked from Archangel Michael, it says, make a commitment. I've just talked about, if you want to get to know your guardian angels, your ascended masters, your guides, make that commitment to meditate, to study, to learn, to practice. So there is a message on the bottom of this card that I'm just going to read. It says, Archangel Michael, as the angel of courage and confidence, I call upon you to lend me your strength. Allow me to commit to myself, my life, and my divine purpose. Please clearly guide me so I can fully open my heart to every experience. So, as I talked earlier, our guides are here to guide us along the path, to help us. So, Archangel Michael is saying, I will help you. When you are on your path, when you are doing what you are supposed to be doing, it's easy. Everything flows, everything falls into place. It's like you're going along with the current of the river. If you're trying to do something that's not meant to be, then it's like swimming against the current. It's like the doors do not open when you knock. So, it's as easy as that. Things will definitely fall into place. What you need to be open to is that perhaps it's not what you thought. So Spirit always has our best intent, our very best in mind when they come in to help us. So that goes back to trust. So Michael is saying, for everybody out there, make that commitment, make that practice, get to know us, and then watch what happens. And it's just a reminder too, you are never alone. I find that so incredibly comforting. And the level of wisdom and love that we are surrounded with as we walk on this earth plane is amazing to me. So now I talked a little bit about Leonini, and before the show, I sat and I asked Leonini if she would like to have a message for all of you, and she did. Now, when I get a message from Leonini, when I channel her, the first thing that she does is she shows me an image. And then I sit there and she builds the message around the image. It's incredible, the images that she's shown me. I've seen king toes or screen doors or candle. Well, candle's a good one, but let's see some of the other ones. Looking up through a telescope. So this image that she wanted to share with you, the first thing that she showed me was a razor blade. And I went, okay, where are we going with this one? So I sit there, I trust, and here was her message. Razor thin line. It is a term you use to describe the thinnest possible amount. The edge is there, but hard to measure. We want you to know that the line that separates us from you is razor thin, and as such can be penetrated. This razor thin separation is only because of the differences in the vibrations of our dimensions. But when you reach toward us and we reach toward you, we can meet even in the middle on that razor thin separation. You reach for us by increasing your vibration to better match the dimensions that surround you, and we in turn try to slow ours down. Why do we do this, and why should you? Because just as there should be no separation between you and your fellow human, there should be no separation between you and the spiritual love that surrounds you. The more that you meditate, purify, love, the higher your own vibration becomes. We applaud your work, and we will do everything on this side to reach you, to let you know that we are available. You should have no doubt when it comes to this divine love and divine help available to you. Reach for us. We will reach for you, and we will meet in that razor thin place for the highest good. Wow. Wow. What a bow around and ribbon around everything that I was talking about. An incredible message from, I believe, from my guide, Leonini. Now, again, I will hopefully one day get enough courage to do that live. So we're coming to the end of the show. I want to thank you for your time. I hope that you found this time valuable and that you learned and experienced something new. The next show I'm really excited about because we're going to talk about dreams, premonitions, deja vu, and those good old gut feelings. If we can show that last slide now. So here's one of those angelic orbs. So guardian angels channel angelic light towards you, comforting and assisting you through life. What a beautiful message to end on. And remember that the angels love you. I thank you very much for tuning in. See you next time. Take care.